Hello, in this video I am going to show you the checkbox widget. So simply put, it allows you to select an item almost like on and off. So it's great if you are creating an application that allows your users to essentially maybe select some settings. Checkbox is fantastic for that, on or off. Simply put, do they want notifications on or off? And okay, so let's add the other child and you just do checkbox. We'll get rid of this and we'll add it manually ourselves. So by default, it needs two things: value, and this is true or false. Basically, the default state. True means it's selected by default. False means it's deselected by default. Only false, but again, simple stuff. And we need one other thing, and this is the onChange method. And this is Boolean, also value. And in here, what we can do is essentially set the state. And if we were to set the state, we can actually, update it. So we can update it, or we can use this somewhere else. So I'm just going to print it off for now. So if I do value, print off. So if I hot reload, let's see what we get. Okay, so we get this checkbox, no text at the moment, we'll handle that in a second. So if I click that, so you might be thinking, I'm clicking it and nothing is happening. And you're probably just, trying to rack your head thinking, I'm clicking it. So why is essentially the actual, the item not being selected? And that is because we do need to add that set state. So if we look at this value here, if instead of that we have a variable, so if we have a variable, so if we say boo, and I'm gonna say checkbox value equals false. So by default it's false. And then here, if I put checkbox value, and then in here on change, if I do, so as you can see, it's trying to set it to true, but it's not getting updated, and that's what we need to handle. If I do set state, in here, we can say drop down, not drop down, sorry, checkbox value equals value. And now if we hot reload, as you can see, we can change it on and off. I removed the print, so we was unable to see what was happening. So if I put it back in, hot reload, and if I select it, it's false. If I select it, it's now true. So it's the state that it gets changed to. You may also be thinking, I made a change, and when I click hot reload, it wasn't set to the default default. That's because I did a hot reload. But when the user opens up the application from scratch, it'll be, your default value. So just bear that in mind. With hot reload, with a lot of widgets, it's, doesn't necessarily change the state that much if you haven't modified the code, that much, yourself. And really, that is it for the checkbox. But this doesn't explain what this checkbox is for. So what we need to, essentially do is add, something extra to it. But if you look, there's no really property for modifying the text, what appears after it. There's active color. I want you to experiment with that as an extra task. But what we need to do is actually add a text widget. But we can't add one directly, so we need to do a child. So for example, if we did a row, and then in here, we would have the checkbox. This checkbox that we've created, we put that here. And actually not there. In here first, we need to put, the children array. In here, this is where we put it. We can get rid of this now. And what we can say directly afterwards, could be before, but I prefer it after. We can say text, and we could just say notifications, for example. Notifications. If I hit reload, as you can see, we now have in the form of a row, and we've got a bit more context to it. Adding this what's we call this text item doesn't actually change the functionality. The set state here, and because this value is getting updated, that this on change will allow us to trigger something. Or if we have a button that, let's say, saves the settings, we can use this variable to actually, update some sort of record or some sort of setting, for example. This text, all it does is it provides some contextual information to the user that this checkbox is related to notifications. If I see that, I just think, as I think a lot of other users do, at the moment notifications are on for this application. Now notifications are off. Obviously, if there was a save button, I would know that I would need to click the save button to essentially commit these changes, but that's really it. And that's all it is for checkboxes. Simple stuff. If you have any questions, feel free to pop me a message, and as usual, I look forward to seeing you in the next video.